think about the Oakland situation last Tuesday? Was that the movement's Kent State, as someone said?
To me,
and
you know
the
what?
mayor handled it correctly.
If that had happened in Egypt, it would be front page news everywhere.
Right.
And I kind of joke to my friends, like, you know, what the media does is they literally ignore the truth so that they can push their narrative. And it's really like, you know, dear peasants, please pay no attention to the citizens uprising outside your window. If you sit tight, we'll have some lovely products to show you in the next commercial coming up in a minute. It's a total farce. And to be honest, you have a peaceful occupation of a public place with unarmed citizens. I'd like to emphasize that, unarmed citizens. And when they're using firearms against unarmed citizens exercising their First Amendment right of freedom of assembly, it's disgusting, it's ashamed, and I honestly don't want to hear one single word about demands from anybody anymore. When people are like, what are your demands? There will be no demands until the violence stops, until the abuse of citizens stops. I will not let this turn into a third world country with an oligarchy that lives it in the high life and everybody else is a damn peasant. I'm not having it. So when people come to me and say, well, what are your demands? We don't have any demands until the police violence stops, whether it's in Denver, whether it's in Oakland, whether it's in Atlanta or New York. I'm not having that anymore. I love my country and I don't want to see that happen.
There was one little controversy here, Michael, but one of the protesters said they threw a bottle first. Should they have done that, or was it, I mean, words for people watching or protesting and saying, you know, thinking about how they should handle themselves?
To me, I want this to be a movement in the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr., in the spirit of Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau, a nonviolent act of civil disobedience. If we are nonviolent, we cannot lose. The only way we lose is if we do act in violence. So I encourage everybody to be as peaceful as possible. I mean, literally, if they're going to shoot at you and your hands are behind you, then you are the innocent and you cannot lose. Now, I would also say that anybody who observes somebody undermining our righteous movement of you know, civil disobedience in a non-violent manner, if you see somebody trying to harm this movement with their own actions, we need to police ourselves. Hand that person over to the police.
I'm glad you said, because there is a code of conduct, right? That,
yeah,
because I was at Occupy Atlanta, and they would recite the code almost every day, right?
I've been to about 10 different occupied territories now, and every single one I've been to has clear rules stated. No drugs, no alcohol, no violence, no discrimination. It's stated everywhere. The fact that the cameras don't focus on that, and they focus on those of us who maybe look a little bit different than the normal person might look, or the average person might look, it's done to make us look bizarre. It's done to make us look not normal. It's done to turn the public off to us. And what the media is doing in concert with the police is casting this movement in a sense that it is violent, that you should not want to participate, that you might be at risk, and that all these arrests are our fault. You know, in New York City,
Andrew Breitbart, he sent the guy up.
Oh,
you know that guy is
don't get me
terrible.
started with Andrew Breitbart. I've been giving this guy hell for the last few days. You know, I was at Occupy Wall Street like a week after I did ABC News and Fox News, and James O'Keefe was there in violation of his parole, and someone spit in my face.
What?
I've never had this happen before. Someone walked right up to me and spit in my face. And I'm from New York, man. We don't get down like that. But I don't want to do anything to besmirch this movement. I put my thumbs in my pocket and I told the guy, I'm too smart for this. And then later in the day, someone said James O'Keefe was there, and I kind of said, like, okay, I don't know what type of coincidence that is, but let's look at it like this. Andrew Breitbart is the slimiest piece of garbage you could possibly find. He smears people for political purposes. He's done things that are criminal. I mean, the guy literally goes around trying to make the case that African Americans are racist against white people. You know what? I got no patience for that, and I honestly think that if we could do one thing with the media, it's to fire the Pat Buchanans and the Andrew Breitbarts and the James O'Keefes. They should have zero credibility
He sent the reporter here to go around tents and put the person's camera in the tent, which is a violation of privacy. And then the reporter claims he has a right to do that because it's a public space. But you know what I'm saying? And then he calls the police.
What really makes me laugh, they're the biggest cowards. They're the biggest gutless cowards. You know, where I come from, there's a saying, and it's that if you've been in a fight but you never lost, you're a bully. You're not a fighter, you know? And that's exactly what it is. He's a gutless coward. He's got no scruples. He's a despicable, scummy guy. And I honestly am really struggling not to swear on camera because I really am incensed by what a low-class piece of garbage he is. The larger point is they can't win on the facts. They cannot win on the facts. When you put the facts of income inequality, of corporate profit, I mean, the Dow Jones is having the greatest month in their history. If this president is a socialist, the Dow Jones must love socialism. The reality is they can't win on the facts, and the only way they can win is by lies, by smears. You know, I hear this nonsense about anti-Semitism. anti-Semitism. I'm a Jew, okay? If this were an anti-Semitic movement, I would be standing against it. I know it's total nonsense. And what really bothers me is that, you know, the Tea Party had the same...
Who are the, since we were talking about terms, they would be a friend of mine, who are the schmucks that came up with that?
No, I can tell you exactly who it was. It was Bill Kristol who floated that one out first. And Bill Kristol, you might remember him from lying America into war with Iraq.
Right.
So what they do is they go with the basest charges because they know they can't win. They don't want to have that discussion about accountability for the wealthiest 1%, about accountability for the politicians who accept corporate bribes, or the CEOs who cast our world economy into chaos so that they can make a short-term profit. They don't want that conversation. They would rather have us at each other's throat about anti-Semitism or Nazis or total irrelevant nonsense that has nothing to do with debate. You know, I did a debate with Seton Motley on RT News. Seton Motley is a contributor to Breitbart, and he's also appeared on Glenn Beck. And I went into this debate thinking, you know what, I want to have this adult conversation. So I'm going to give him a fair chance to get his word in. And he started attacking net neutrality and Obamacare and government regulation and this and that. And then I started talking about, like, well, net neutrality is a good thing. If we change that, we're going to hand the internet over to corporations, and they're going to be able to silence our voices. This guy talked right over me. I mean, he was really a bit of a jerk.
Hey, I gotta